35 bowlers began competition last Monday, and today, the final 5 meet for the top prize of $15,000 as ABC Sports moves to Grand Prairie, Texas on the 1979 Pro Bowlers Tour for the $100,000 Quaker State Open. In match number 1 in 5th place is Joe Berardi, looking for his first PBA title. He'll meet 4th place bowler, 18-year veteran Dave Sutar, with 15 PBA titles. The winner of this match will challenge PBA Hall of Famer Dick Ritker with 19 titles to his credit. The winner will then meet the number 2 bowler, Marshall Holman, who finished 2nd here last year. The winner of this match will bowl for the championship against last year's Quaker State Open titleist, Mark Roth, today on the Pro Bowlers Tour. And you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, what a chandelier has to do with professional bowling. Well, it's just one of the elegant appointments here at the Forum. We're at the center of the Metroplex, Dallas-Fort Worth, in warm, friendly Texas. We're glad to be back in this house of 60 lanes, and all of the action, the attention will be focused on a pair. For today, the winner in our live coverage will receive $15,000. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Schenkel. Last year we were snowbound in Indiana, but we made it to Texas this week. We're glad to join all of you, as well as our colleague Nelson Burton Jr. He'll tell you a little bit more about our interesting field today. Hi, Bo.
Hi, Chris. How are you? And congratulations. They made you honorary member of Grand Prairie today. Thank you. Very good.
Well, as honorary mayor, I've changed a few things.
Like what? I don't want to ask.
Anything you want in the city is yours.
All right, Chris. You know, we'll go through the top 5. We really have a great field. We have 2 old-timers, fellows that were bowling on the tour on the inception. Dave Sutar and Dick Ritker are sensational players. They have all the experience, but going against them will be 3 young lions that the tour has developed in the last 3 or 4 years. Joe Berardi, Marshall Holman, and naturally the defending champion Mark Roth is really tough.
I'm going to put you on the spot and want you to choose a winner.
Well, I have to go with Mark Roth. Last week he broke his cashing string of over 2 years in Alameda. He was a bit disappointed, and he said that he's going to try to rectify it with a back-to-back wins here at the Quaker State.
Thanks, Bo.
All right, Chris.
So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go away on our live coverage from the Forum in Grand Prairie, Texas. Our first match, Joe Berardi going against Dave Sutar. It'll be coming up following this message.
74 years, Firestone has never built a tire in which they've had more.
Guess that's why Quaker State's the best-selling motor oil in America.
Hey, Joe. So this is what a house of wind is according to me.
And now, here at the Forum, we're ready for that first match. The first match, Joe Berardi. He'll be shooting first. What a comparison in size and age. 5'9", 135, 24 years old. He'll be going against Dave Sutar, many-time champion, 38 and 6 feet 3 inches tall. Berardi of Pearl River, New York. And the native of the Bronx, New York, Nelson Burton Jr. has a problem early.
Chris opens with a 6-7-10. Joey has struggled a little bit his previous times on the telecast. He's been on 4 previous times. Almost won in Kansas City last year, but he's really bowling well this year.
Trying to convert the 6-7-10, leaving the 7, so for Joe Berardi, it's an open frame. And now, Dave Sutar from Kansas City.
Age 38, my old doubles partner. We won the World's Championship together in 1970.
Just a beautiful stroke, resulting strike here in our very first match in Grand Prairie, Texas, an area of 70,000 people and growing.
And what a TV record Dave Sutar has. He has won from the bottom position many times of all the titles he's won. Once he gets locked in, he stays zeroed on a pair of lanes. He's decided to play the outside angle, Chris, way out on the right-hand edge, much like we saw Dale Glenn last week, but not that wide trajectory.
Not coming up quite enough, leaving the 2-8 on the left lane for Dave Sutar.
For the folks at home, the one thing about playing outside is many times you get very difficult spares, such as this 2-8. Now, Sutar just a little quick with the ball. He's anxious. He doesn't want to throw it up in the nose, so he just throws it a little too hard. From out there, it's speed control. Cross lane.
Very good job. Covering the 2-8 on the left lane, so Berardi is up, and Sutar opening with a strike, following with a spare, has an 11-pin lead.
Berardi owns a pro shop in New York, and when he's on the tour, his daddy runs it for him.
That's more like it. For the 24-year-old who, incidentally, you may see some adhesive on the right side of his face. He tripped and fell in his motorhome and caught a kitchen cabinet and cut his face there.
Actually, he might be a little lucky, another couple inches higher, Chris, and who
Oh,
knows?
yes. Now he wants to double. All right, 110 now, separating these two professionals. This is our first head-to-head match, live coverage on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
And here's Berardi's stroke, playing the inside line between the second and third arrows around the 12th board, and solid in the pocket. Just really a lot of power on this young man's ball.
Another pocket hit. With a spare up, Sutar striking in the third frame.
Sutar, cool customer under pressure. He's won as many titles and been around as long as he has. He's a bit nervous, although he doesn't show it. And it's leading by 1 pin right now.
The winner of this match will meet another formful bowler, veteran Dick Ritker. So, what a seesaw battle here as Sutar is back in the lead. 15,000 the winner, 8, 6, 5, and 4,000. As we'll take a break and then return.
When I bought my pinto, I figured it was a good value, but I didn't know how good until my dad started borrowing it.
So I ended up buying my own.
Then I bought one. And I bought one.
And I bought one.
And we bought two.
Join the Pinto family with new styling and new features for $79. Compare Pinto. It may be the best small car buy in America.
Where's mine?
This is our alternate, in other words, the bowler in the sum over 200 field that finished 6th. This is the first match. Joe Berardi shooting in the 4th frame. He has a double up. He's trailing by 11 after having the lead. Let's see what he can do now. Ooh, a high hit, leaving the 4-pin on the left lane. Here you see a replay, and look at the ball spinning. Coming up high on that head pin and leaving the 4, and he's covering it just to the left of center. So with a beautiful follow-through, Berardi marks with a spare in the 4th frame, bowling against Dave Sutar. For Joe, this is his 4th national television appearance here on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Asking for a re-rack. Harry Golden is our tournament director, seated along Frank Esposito, our liaison director. Apparently the communication gap was just a little long. Now the sweep, re-rack on the left lane for Joe Berardi, who will be shooting in the 5th frame with a spare up. Beautiful. Using a very short approach, getting to that line in a hurry, Berardi with his 3rd strike in 5 frames. Now Dave Sutar, leading by 12, can increase it because he has a double up shooting in the 5th frame of this first match. Another high hit, leaving the 10-pin. As we mentioned at the top of the show, this is a beautiful bowling establishment, chandeliers and all, and it has a total of 60 lanes. The 5th year that we have come here. We're here for the Quaker State Open, a $100,000 event. 15,000 to the winner is the replay, coming up high and wrapping around the 10-pin, but now cross lane near the return for the 10. So it's a spare in the 5th frame for Dave Sutar.
Chris, really on match game play, I think the man with the inside line, if he can usually get it going, that'd be Berardi, has a little advantage because under pressure, the tendency is to pull the ball and get the open frame. Right now, Sutar leading by 11, though.
Look at those credentials. PBA member 18 years, PBA titles 15. Another 10 pin. Still leading by 10 in our very first match is Dick Ritker. Keeps warming up off to our right. He will meet the winner. The winner of that game will meet Marshall Holman. And the winner of the semifinal match will go into the championship head-to-head match against Mark Roth. What a field today, Bo.
You got it. Great players.
Now Berardi. He has a strike up. He's going to be shooting in the 6th frame, hoping to double.
Young man I met when he was 17 years old and has really matured into quite a player. I went with him and his daddy for exhibition for the Cancer Fund in New York many years ago.
Another 10. Would you say that was a solid 10, Bo?
Well, that was a weak 10. The ball didn't quite finish enough, Chris, but...
Why?
Well, he just had a little too much speed, and from that inside line, it's difficult to carry every time from inside, but he has the strength and power to do it.
Berardi marking with a spare in the 6th frame. You just joined us. There you see the score sheets showing you just how they've bowled. Berardi, unfortunately, with an open in the very first frame, but came back with a double. Now he's shooting in the 7th, spare up.
Wow, almost got a great break. That pin sliding back across. Chris, we see the players leave the 10 pin quite often, as you see on this hit. The 6 pin, watch it lay down in the right channel. So he doesn't have quite an oomph to get around. When you leave a solid 10, it goes up around the top of the neck of the pin.
So with a lot of speed on covering the 10 pin, it is Dave Sutar in our first match that is leading by 11 pins. Olympic Games at Lake Placid, a little more than a year from now, to be covered by ABC Sports. Also in today's Wide World of Sports, a report on Mario Andretti at the Grand Prix of Argentina. Now leading 11, shooting in the 7th frame, big tall Dave Sutar, working on a spare. Strengthening his position with the hopes of moving up to go against the man who finished 3rd in the overall field, Dick Ritker. Now with a strike here in the 8th frame for Sutar, he could take a 21-pin lead. So he puts the pressure on the non-winner, 24-year-old Joe Berardi. One of the two will meet Dick Ritker, and here's Bo.
With me, Dick Ritker, many-time champion, and he's been bowling the tour part-time and spending a lot of time in Europe. And Tex, what's happening over across the water?
Well, I've been doing a lot of instructing overseas bowl, a lot in the United States also, and it's really needed in Europe. They're just crying for information, for expertise, knowledge about what the pros are doing on the tour, and it's really a big market for me. I'm going to be back there this year for about a month or two.
What countries have you been going to, Tex?
Holland, Sweden, France, Germany, big market in Europe.
Okay, they should be tough in the next couple of years. Good luck, Tex.
All right. And his first shot, Berardi on the right lane, left the 7, and now marks with a spare in the 8th frame. Time running out on young Joe Berardi, who's going against the veteran Dave Sutar. Big frame, the foundation 9th now for Berardi. And off his 4-step approach, he has another split, the 4, 6, and 10.
The one shot that has plagued Joe Berardi in his career on television, why he's been unsuccessful, is under the real heavy pressure. He's had a tendency to pull the ball. Now watch how he yanks up and how high his swing goes and all the way around inside his target, leaving the 4, 6, 10. Open the door wide open for Sutar.
And Sutar with that double up with a 36-pin lead now, using the full approach. Another bowler later using the same method on the approach, Marshall Holman. In the groove, Bo. He's looking good.
Chris, he's just bowling sensational, and he's shut out Joe Berardi right here in the early going. The best Berardi can do is 192. Sutar is working at a 220 pace going into the 10th frame. Possible 248. And he's going to be a man to contend with. Very solid to Sutar with all his experience. He used to be a great match game player back 15, 20 years ago, and he doesn't lose a pair of lanes. He usually keeps putting the ball in the pocket.
So leaving the 4-7 on the left lane.
Sutar possible 226 with a spare and a strike. He will go on to meet Dick Ritker.
Dick Ritker from Riverbend, Wisconsin, will be going against Dave Sutar after this message.
You know, way back in 1911, the only place Harvey Firestone could take his tires to be really tested was Indianapolis, where a bunch of young fellows were starting to race cars. Well, Harvey took his tires to Indianapolis, and every summer he learned a little bit more about them. In fact, he learned so much that 48 Indianapolis winners rode on Firestone.
Today, at Firestone's Proving Ground, Fort Stockton, Texas, there are no cheering crowds, but the object is the same. Learn more about...
We're at the Forum in Grand Prairie, Texas. Dave Sutar has won his first match over Joe Berardi, 226 to 191, and now two veterans head-to-head match play in our live coverage of the Professional Bowlers Tour. Shooting first, Dick Ritker, 40 years old, 19 PBA titles. Very high hit in that first frame, leaving the 4-6-9.
No matter how much experience
And
you
10.
have, that first frame, Chris, is always a bit tenuous. It's possible to make this. You'll shoot for the 3-pin cluster, hoping to drive one of them to the left sideboard and get a good kick back on the lane, but it's very difficult. Just went for the 9.
So Ritker now will watch Dave Sutar.
The strategy of match game play is that if you get a great player like Ritker and he gives you an opening quickly, Sutar relaxed, confident, won the first game, would like to jump on top of him real quickly with 2 quick strikes.
Leaving the 2, 4, and 5 on the right lane. As you see, Sutar defeated Berardi 226 to 191. Now it's Ritker and Sutar. The winner to meet Marshall Holman, exciting Marshall Holman, and then on against the bowler of the year, the remarkable Mark Roth. Two, 4, 5.
Ooh. Soupy, as all his friends and everybody on the tour calls him, got a break. Now watch the ball breaking across lane, almost chops the 2 off the 5. Bingo, knocks it over. Sutar in pretty good shape this year, Chris. I think with his business activities and not training much the past 2 or 3 years, he wasn't bowling as well. But this past year, he spent a lot of time down at his home at the Lake of the Ozarks, his summer home, water skiing and training, and it's showing up this winter. Just lost it, completely lost it. The first shot, Sutar being very tall, his right foot slipped out from underneath him just before he tried to throw the shot. That time he was just totally out of time, no leverage. He knew he lost it.
How do you cover the 1, 2, 4, Bo?
You have to just move about 5 boards to the right with your feet on the approach, use the same target as a strike target, and the ball go to the left side of the head pin. That's exactly what Sutar is doing. Perfect.
All right. Today on the Professional Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week, it is spot bowling with Nelson Burton Jr. That'll come a little later in our live telecast from Texas. Leaving the 4, Dick Ritker, who had an open frame in the first.
These two experienced players proving that there's more than one way to skin a cat. Sutar playing the outside line, about the 3rd or 4th board at the arrows. Dick Ritker, the inside line, inside the 3rd arrow, about the 17th board at the arrows. Both finished very high in the tournament, both looking for the Quaker State title. Second match.
So it's a spare for Dick Ritker. Now living in River Falls, Wisconsin, which is right at the Minnesota border and at the St. Croix River. It's a beautiful valley.
You know, Chris, Dick Ritker is stayed on the tour for a long time, and I asked him how he stayed in such good shape, and here's what he had to say.
Well, Bo, it's been quite a tour for me. I've been out here 15 years, but I think the thing that keeps me going is the competition, number one, on a part-time basis, and number two, the ability to run, meaning I run a lot, run miles to stay in shape, and I used to run to get ahead of the bowlers. Now I run to stay up with, Roth, Holman, Hudson, and some of the young fellas.
He's running to see about with those young guys, Chris. But you know one thing he does on December 7th every year is he runs what they call the frigid mile up there. In cold weather, they ran in a foot of snow, he and his wife, and he said he ran it in about a little under 7 minutes, so you know he's in pretty good shape.
That's much better than being a member of the Polar Bear Club where you got to take a dip, Bo, in that cold water. Now Dave Sutar, who has marked with 2 spares, now shooting in the 3rd frame after his 226-191 victory over Joe Berardi. And another 10-pin.
An interesting part of our show that we've seen in the last 3 weeks is that the week 10, where the ball doesn't quite finish, what causes that is we bowl on mostly urethane finishes today. And on the old lacquer finishes, the oil did not carry down the lane. The oil at the front part of the lane did not carry down the lane. Today, the lanes are actually getting slicker at the back end as the players bowl. Before on lacquers, they used to get slower, so the ball doesn't finish quite as much on the new urethanes.
So that's Sutar continuing to mark with spares here in our second head-to-head match. Sutar, who hasn't won since 1976, and that was his 15th PBA title.
The adjustment the players have to make could be one of any 3. They can throw a little slower to let the ball finish more. They can move to a little further outside line. As far as in Sutar's case, he doesn't have much more room. Or they can turn the ball a little harder to make it finish. A little more side revolution.
Another 10.
The solid 10. He did make the adjustment with the extra turn on the ball and just did not get a good break. But Sutar is happy with it in that he's keeping the ball around the pocket. Match game style play, you don't want to give your opponent that big opening by missing the pocket a lot of times or by getting difficult spares and possibly get an opening.
All right, 7 pins separating these 2 veteran professionals on the Professional Bowlers Tour. We're in our second match. We're going to take a break and then more action.
Today, bowling's more fun than ever, especially with AMF Magic Score. You knock 'em down, Magic Score adds 'em up. So this weekend, why not bring a friend bowling? You'll enjoy it even more with AMF Magic Score.
When Napa first made the claim that lots of Napa parts are better than your cars are...
Right, in the 4th frame now with the spare up, Dick Ritker trailing by 7. There, his first strike. Dick Ritker and his wife Judy, parents of 4 children, and Dick was saying he hoped to be scoring well this year because in successive years, starting next year, he'll have 3 of his children in college. There you're looking at the score. You see how they started. Now to take the lead with a double. No, a high hit and gets a bad break, the 6-7. Look at him talking to himself, and here's what happened after the release at the line. Does get the 10, but it's still the 6-7 for Dick Ritker. So as a result of that second open frame in 5, Sutar leads by 19. Here's Bo.
With me, Marshall Holman, the man who has been probably the most promising young star the tour has developed in the last 3 years, but in the last 8 or 9 months, he's been inconsistent. Marshall, what seems to be the problem?
Well, I'll tell you, Bo, I really don't know. I think with the harder surfaces, I've been having a little trouble with the bowling. I was 2 under last week, and I'm bowling great this week. So I just hope I'll stay on the upswing for a while.
How about your spear making? Has it improved?
Yeah, it's improved quite a bit since Los Angeles. Thanks, Bo.
Okay, good luck, and hope you can win one here.
And Dave Sutar in that fifth frame, his first strike. Now hoping to double to increase his lead over Dick Ritker. So 5'7" Dick Ritker is up now, weighing in at 145 pounds. Former and past president of the Professional Bowlers Association. And he is in the PBA Hall of Fame, and deservedly so. 10 pin.
Half 10. Did not quite get up to the pocket from that inside line. And Dick is talking to himself now. Experienced player. He never gives up. He's great in the clutch. Right now he's 29 pins behind another experienced super player who's grooved in the pocket. So Ricker definitely has his work cut off for him in the last 4 frames.
The winner to move up against the man Bo just interviewed, Marshall Holman. And then the winner of the semifinal game in our live coverage will go against Mark Roth.
Look at that height and weight. Man has not changed in the 15 years I've known him. I attribute that to non-dissipation. You find this guy always in shape.
You ought to know, Bo. You're the clean liver. Seven pin on the left lane for Ritker here at the Forum in Grand Prairie, Texas.
Ricker around the pocket, but from that inside angle, watch the 5-pin drive over, try to get the 7, but see the ball deflected, did not quite get enough of the 5 to drive it in there. Just a little more turn on that ball, and he had the 7 down.
Now, Dave Sutar, as we're going to take a break, has a 30-pin lead and a double up. This message and then more bowling. What an exciting 3-part show on Wide World of Sports today. In addition to the live heavyweight bouts, international ski jumping from Austria, and a report on Mario Andretti in Argentina going for a Grand Prix title after winning the World Driving Championship last year. Okay, now with the double up shooting the 7th frame, Dave Sutar leading by 30 at this point. Four-7 leave on the right lane.
We spoke of the adjustment that Sutar could make for the light hits. He has made it. He's chosen to move further outside, throw the ball a little straighter up at the pocket, and hope he can stop the ball with speed. As you see, it just went a little high, breaking down the 4-7, 9-10. Leaving a simple 4-7 spare cross lane. You know, Chris, every year that we have a Pro-Am here, as in every tournament, and a team from Mexico City, Mexico, about 800 miles, 1,000 miles from here, won the Junior Pro-Am, and this tournament has raised over $30,000 for the $30,000 in the past 3 years for the Crippled Children's Hospital in this area. Quite a tribute to Jeannie Cooper and Bobby Cooper.
What a charitable area, like the vast salesmanship club in this area do a great job for youngsters as well. So that gives Sutar 143 through the 7th with a strike up.
Sutar doing what he likes to do, stay ahead in the match, keep the pressure on the opponent. But he's got a tough one here. Ricker still must throw strikes to get back in the match.
And a 10-pin on the right lane.
Here's the classic style in the game of bowling. It's probably the finest there is. Look at that locked arm swing, shoulders level, good high follow through. Everything absolutely perfect. What a qualified man to be a teacher. His style is the epitome of the game. Great concentration. The possibilities are this: Richter coming up in the 9th frame. If he strikes the 9th, 10th, and 11th, he'll be in the 190s. That would force Dave Sutar to mark out. So Ricker is not out of the match yet. Still has a possibility. He definitely needs to strike here to put some pressure on Sutar.
9th frame for the holder of a bachelor's degree in physical education from across Wisconsin State University.
Just had all sorts of trouble. He closed the door for himself that time. Sutar is going to win this match sitting on the bench. Now watch the ball breaking very sharply at the back end. He's trying to make the adjustment for those weak 10s and that swish and 7, and it's just not working today. Just guessed wrong on that particular shot. He's giving it a go.
You saw the odds for a professional, 10-1, and that gives Rittker 138 through the 9th frame, and Sutar is up, shooting in the 9th, strike up.
All that Sutar needs is to hit the pins on this ball, and he'll be the winner going against tough Marshall Holman. 4-pin. Right-hand lane seems to be finishing just a little more. All Sutar has to do is use a little more loft or a little more speed. From that outside angle, I recommend both, because if you can hit light from outside, you can always scatter the pins. A great angle of attack.
The 4-pin now for Dave Sutar, who has won his second match. We'll have the final score when we return, but Sutar now moves up into the semifinal against tough Marshall Holman. Okay, Frank, final score, Sutar 208, Rittker 155.
And we see some of the other finishers. Dave Frame very close. Earl Anthony, who went down to the 10th frame, almost made the top 5. Local Chuck Pierce. Jay Robinson bowling well. And our statistician, Palmer Falgren, taking some money back to Sacramento this week. And Gary Dickerson from Fort Worth really thrilled the crowd. George Pappas, the chairman of the tournament committee. Dave Olms, second week in a row. And tough Jimmy Certain with the Roll Tide men, and Jerry Smythe from Anchorage, Alaska. Bill Beach, steady every week. J.A. Ono, first top 24. Jim Plessinger, watch him. Big John Wilcox, the lefty. My good buddy, Super Billy Walden, in 23rd place. He's my coach. And Don McCune, back in the top 24, the man who made all the bowling balls change about 3 years ago.
And here in the gleaming lanes of the Forum in Grand Prairie, Texas, in our live coverage of the Professional Bowlers Tour, Dave Sutar, winning over Dick Rittker, 208 to 155, now goes against Marshall Holman.
And Holman, the higher finish, decides who starts the match, whether it be Sutar or himself, Marshall. And Marshall has decided to start the match, figuring he can strike in the clutch on the right-hand lane.
Oh, and a spinning gray ball is in the pocket.
And the last of the older generation is Sutar out there playing his favorite line, playing against the contemporary, young, powerful Marshall Holman. This should be a great match.
Keeping even, Sutar, who won his first match 226 to 191 over Joe Berardi, and his second just a few moments ago, 208 to Dick Rittker's 155. Now against Holman.
Sutar, who has 21 sanctioned 300s, opened one of Jeannie Cooper's other places, bowling centers down here, Golden Triangle, when an opening day shot a 300 game and auctioned off his bowling ball for the junior bowlers to go to the state tournament. He got $362 and sent a junior team to the state. Big trouble. 4-6, 7-10. Sutar on this with a strike up will just go for the wood. There's no reason to go for the make the split. Sutar actually threw the ball fairly good. He thought he was going to get a good reaction, but as we said, that outside angle is very treacherous. When you get strikes, you get tons of them. Just going for the 2.
So Dave Sutar, an open frame in the second, 26 through 2 frames. Marshall Holman opened in the first frame with a strike. Look how much of the approach he uses, all of it. In fact, his left heel is extended behind it. Oh, he liked it. Very excitable player. Watch his reaction.
Watch Marshall Holman, how steady his head and shoulders and intense concentration. You want to see ideal form for a young player with tremendous power. Look at his head and body stayed right under that nice artificial line we put in there. Absolutely almost perfectly level. Doesn't bob more than 3 inches.
Leaving the 4-9.
Chris, that outside line, he's playing the same line that Sutar does. And again, with that sharp break that Holman throws, cuts right through, leaving the 4-9. From an inside line, believe it or not, the ball will not finish quite that hard. and won't leave that split that comes up 7-2 for the pros.
So for Marshall Holman, after opening with a double, giving him 54 rather now through 3, it'll be Sutar up.
Sutar with a reprieve. Be very surprising if he doesn't throw these next 2 balls in the pocket. Great match game player.
Winner of the match to meet Mark Roth.
Holy cow, that's the angle, Chris. See from that angle the tremendous action of the pins. He just ripped that 5-pin out of there, have no chance. If you want to play outside, there's where you want to hit. Don't play the full pocket hit. There's no percentage in it. If you're going to make a mistake, you'll normally miss left and hit solid. And when you have that tremendous angle, watch the 5-pin just go ripping out. See that ball digging there? See you later. Wow. Going for the lead.
Leaving the 10-pin. Disappointing.
A solid 10. 6-pin just going right around the 10. Actually, the first bad break that Dave has gotten in a match where he could take the lead, put pressure on the opponent today.
Man that won the PBA National Championship when he was only 21. Also holder of the ABC Masters title. Dave Sutar marking with a spare in the 4th frame here at the Forum as we look at Judy Sutar, Bowler of the Year among the ladies. We'll be back. And the 3rd men's preliminary round of ABC Superstars tomorrow. That's right. Representatives from basketball, hockey, and boxing, and last year's Superstar champion, water skier Wayne Gremdich. That's tomorrow over most of these ABC stations. Leading by 8, shooting in the 4th. Okay. One time, Marshall Holman was leading by 24. But he had that open frame in the 3rd. And now he can get right back, jumping on top as he'll be shooting in the 5th frame now on the left lane. Now an 18-pin lead for the reacting Marshall Holman of Medford, Oregon. Bridegroom at the line watching. Now Sutar shooting in the 5th frame, spare working for him. Oh, he liked that one. Another powerful strike on the right lane where he struck in the 3rd frame so beautifully. If you just joined us, Sutar, at whom we're looking, defeated Joe Berardi 226 to 191. Joe winning $4,000. Then Sutar eliminated Dick Ritker 208 to 155. Ritker leaving the Forum with $5,000. Sutar, the great champion that he is, has cut Holman's lead to 8 once more as we go to Nelson.
With me, the defending champion, Mark Roth, who won the Quaker State last year. Mark, who would you rather bowl? Would you rather bowl Sutar, the experienced pro, or Marshall Holman, the young contemporary?
Well, Ball, it really doesn't matter, you know, who I bowl today. It's just,
what do you mean? You've been losing to the old guys, and you beat the young guys. You'd rather bowl Holman, wouldn't you? Come on.
Nah, it doesn't matter, really. I just want to go out there and just try and bowl my best today, and it doesn't matter who I bowl. Just try and stay ahead of him if I can today.
How do you feel from number 1? Do you think you can win it?
I feel pretty good today. It's just I have to worry about the left lanes. Looks like it's hooking a little bit too much today.
All right, good luck.
Again, Bowler of the Year, Mark Roth, and Marshall Holman, who finished second to Mark a year ago right here, having had a double up, has marked with a spare in the 6th frame of our semifinal match. Championship match coming up. 7-pin lead, 7th frame. Doing that high hit, leaving the 3-6.
And as Mark Ross said, the left lane may give him a little trouble. Holman's having a little trouble with it. Sutar's been high on the left lane. Also, Holman had the 4-9, and now he's got the 3-6 cross lane. Throw it extra speed.
Little body motion to go along with that is now we have only 5 pins separating Marshall Holman, 24, Dave Sutar, 38 years of age.
And the momentum could definitely swing Sutar's way. He's trailing by 5, double working. He could take the lead for the first time in this match.
Beautiful, smooth stroke.
And that was his best shot of the day. He threw it confidently. When he let go, he knew what was happening. You see the tall Dave Sutar, 5-step delivery, very precision, drives off hard on his 4-step. 2, 3, now watch this right foot. Drive hard for a tall man, heel toe, and that was his best shot of the day. See how that foot is perpendicular to the foul line. Maximum leverage. Can now really put it to Holman, put the pressure on. He's leading by 5, can extend it to 15 in the 8th.
Happy to get by, yes.
Usually in that
1-2.
Usually in that position, leads the washout. You can watch the last 2 pins that fall will be the 4 and the 10. And watch the 4 on the left side of your screen, 4-7, and the 10 on the right. Sutar is very happy he got that break. He's trying to use a little extra speed on lane 39 to hold the line, and his foot slipped out from underneath him.
For Sutar, a spare in the 8th frame. Up is Marshall Holman, shooting in the 8th frame with a spare working. Very tight semifinal match. Loser to get 6,000. The winner to go against Mark Roth, either to win 15 or 8.
Marshall Holman throws one of the very, very strong balls on the tour, and I asked him if he had any advice for a young player who wants to develop the power ball, what they should do. Here's what Marshall had to say.
Well, to develop a strong ball, you need a strong wrist, and I think that's the key to the strong ball, is to have that power with the wrist. It's not so much in the fingers as most bowlers think. It's really the wrist. I can't emphasize it enough. You want to bowl good, you want to bowl with a lot of power, strengthen up your wrist.
And he did just that and doubled. That strike coming in the 9th frame, Marshall Holman.
And Marshall gave one of the really true good tips from a young player. He uses that wrist and not the fingers. The fingers impart the side turn, but the true power is with the lift of the wrist. Sutar trailing by 7.
Sweeping strike in the 9th for Sutar.
Here's the possibilities in the 10th. Sutar needs a double to force Holman to double. Whoever can throw the strikes here in the 10th is going to be the winner. Sutar trailing by 7 has a possible 224. Holman right now is going at a 211 pace. He knows the situation. Sutar knows the situation. 2 great clutch players. The old against the new.
Now 3 pins separating these throws. Look at Holman trying to get some of the tension out of those shoulders.
Well, he had the same situation last year. He needed 2 in the 10th to win the match against Mark Roth, and he didn't get them all last year. Sutar can extend his lead to 13, but by no means shut out Holman. Holman still will do whatever he needs.
Up to the task. The challenge of head-to-head professional bowling here. 13-pin lead.
The situation is this. Dave Sutar needs 7 pins on this ball to make Marshall Holman get 2 more strikes. Little love pat on the 10. Soupy reacts.
Well, a job well done in shooting a 224 to go along with his 208 and 226 in his previous victories. And now it's up to Marshall Holman.
Needs 2 strikes to win. If he does not strike on either of the next 2 balls, Sutar will meet Roth. It's so
finalistic, isn't it, in this game?
It's all one shot. If Holman does not strike, he loses. If he strikes, he wins. And I'll bet you he'll put the wrist in this ball. That's the forte of Marshall Holman. When he needs it, he's great in the clutch with tremendous wrist power, and he'll try to scatter the pins.
Reacting at the line, Marshall Holman, the Oregonian.
An excited Marshall Holman, a disconsolate Dave Sutar. He has bowled well today. All that Marshall needs is to keep it on the lane. Think he isn't happy? Watch this.
So, a 230 for Marshall Holman as the second place finisher in our field of over 200. And now we have a rematch of last year's final coming up. That means Marshall Holman has won this game over Dave Sutar, 230 to 224, and his next opponent is the bowler of the year the last 2 years, Mark Ross. Stay with us. Remarkable Marshall Holman, finishing with 4 strikes and 9 pins, edges Dave Sutar, who had won 2 matches, 230 to 224. And I know you keep shaking your head. How do they do it? One of the methods that they do it is by spot bowling. Nelson Burton Jr. on our weekly feature, Professional Bowler's Tip of the Week, is going to show you how to spot bowl. I think it'll help your game. Watch and listen.
Today's Pro Bowler's Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
Today's tip is on spot bowling. In other sports, they say keep your eye on the ball. But in bowling, we say keep your eye on the spot. Position 15 feet from the foul line are 7 arrows, 5 boards apart, to assist you in your bowling. The pros may use all of these spots, but I recommend the second arrow for your strike target and your third arrow for your basic spare target. Now let's see how these arrows can assist you in your bowling game. The spot system is the best for all bowlers, beginners and pros. The idea is to bring the target closer to you. It is much easier to hit. The second arrow for your strike ball gives you a consistent trajectory to the 1-3 pocket and the desired results most of the time. The third arrow without the head pin standing is recommended for all spares. The best shot is down the third arrow, keeping your eye on the target. Note that I hold my follow through and keep my head right on the target. This spot system will increase your consistency on all spares.
So now we go into the Quaker State Open Championship match against 2 greats. Mark Roth, the tournament leader, against Marshall Holman, who came through with flying colors in the semifinal to defeat Dave Sutar, 230 to 224. And Bo, Marshall is shooting first.
And that's the same thing that happened last year. Just last year, the final match, 216 to 213. Mark Roth, being the tournament leader last year, decided to let Holman start and finish last. This year again, Roth, tournament leader, has decided to let Marshall start. Mark up first for his 2 frames on the right lane, finishing first.
There it is, matching Holman start. Mark Roth, the 27-year-old, now living in North Arlington, New Jersey. And we're here in Grand Prairie, Texas, not too far from Roanoke, Texas, the home of our hero Byron Nelson, who won 11 golf tournaments in a row, and here a man that won 8 in 1 year. Total of 16 titles, and that's 10 pin on the left lane.
The lane that Mark was a bit skeptical about. He got 3 practice balls in this lane, and look at the footwork of Mark Roth driving to the line. See that ball lifted well out over the line. You watch his footwork, but the key point was right when he let go of the ball. Does not lay it down. Gets it well out over the foul line.
Stylized bowlers, both from the right side and both wearing red-hot shirts here today if you want to adjust your color television set. And I might add, Bo, that these are 2 of the fast bowlers. Once they get on the approach, look out.
They're the contemporary young players. They bowl quickly, they throw very hard, and once again, Mark Roth decided to start second, so he will finish first, hoping that Marshall Holman will struggle in the 10th frame.
Mark Marshall Holman on the right lane, leaving the 2-8.
And Marshall Holman real wide, leaves the 2-8, the double wood, gets a good break when he knocks the 10 out. Once again, he's playing that outside trajectory right out by the very edge, and from that angle, you either get strikes or tough spares, and this is one of them.
Oh. Proving your point, Bo.
Chris, once again, the one thing that has hurt Marshall Holman in his career is his ability to make spares. He had problems when we were at the Light Classic and the Miller High Life Open the first week of the year, and once again, he's dug himself an early ditch by missing the 2-8 double wood.
Motioning crossover, it did. It did.
Mark Roth, Marshall Holman, both wearing the same colors. They're doubles partners in the regular PBA doubles tournament, but today they're bowling for $15,000 heads up.
Mark Roth opening with a strike, a spare in the second, now a strike in the third frame of our final championship match.
Here's the great, powerful style of Marshall Holman. You want to see wrist action, watch this boy's wrist. Wow, all the way through the ball. Lofts it out about 4 feet out on the lane. You see where that ball hit? About 4 feet out on the lane. That delays the hook and keeps the power till it gets way down the lane.
A high hit, leaving the 3-6.
The lane everybody's struggling a little bit with. Now watch Mark Roth's speed. He'll move the extreme left side of the lane and throw almost a bullet down there. You can't hardly throw it any harder. The reason is to kill the ball, kill the hook. All you have to do is touch the pins.
So now both have opened.
Chris, what a replay. In the Grand Prix, Marshall Holman and Mark Roth missed the... Mark missed the 3-6, and again he's missed it here. Back to even as we come back in 1 minute.
Today we're in Grand Prairie, Texas. Next week, back to San Antonio for the Magic Score Open, followed by the Rolaids Open in Florissant, Missouri. That's Dick Weber's house, and then to Sterling Heights or Detroit, Michigan for the Dutch Masters Open, then North Olmsted or Cleveland, Ohio for the Cleveland Open. Right now, we're in the championship match. Live head-to-head coverage. Marshall Holman has a strike up in the third, now shooting in the fourth. So we have a 3-10.
The last 3 shots Marshall Holman has thrown have been very poor. He's losing the ball in the bottom of the swing. In between frames, he has changed the tape in his thumb hole, putting new tape in there to tighten the holes up so he doesn't have to squeeze as much. But once again, he's getting a little wild.
Beautiful conversion of the 3-10. Grateful, Marshall Holman.
Just nicking the 3-pin. What a good break. Watch this ball sliding with extra speed. Just nicking the 3-pin. Keeps the match all even through 4. This is just the way it was last year. Went right down to the very last ball.
Winner of this game, $15,000. The loser, $8,000. Okay. Holman striking in the 5th frame, and now with 68 through the 4th, Roth is back up.
And here's the 4th frame again, just barely nicking the 3-pin. Might be the whole difference in the match, that pin right there.
Enthusiastic crowd here in Grand Prairie, Texas.
And the scoreboard tells the story. Mark Roth right now taking a little extra time. He knows this could be a key shot to take the lead.
And should we have a tie, it's always a 2-frame roll-off. There you see last year's score in the final, 216 to 213.
Overpowering attempt at a strike. Mark making the adjustment for the high hit, just sent the ball a little wide and figured with that tremendous power he'd snap it back and carry it out, but the ball broke so late that it left the 10-pin.
Oh, it looked like he lofted it out a little bit more.
That's the key. On the hook and lanes, you want to go a little more with the loft.
Okay. So it's a spare for Roth. sixth frame.
And what that loft does, Chris, is just delay the hook. If you loft the ball out an extra foot, it'll delay the hook about 3 or 4 feet on the back end. They'll still hook as much, but a little sharper. And better pin action.
Chance for a double right here. By defeating Dave Sutar, who had won 2 matches. Holman shooting a 230 to Sutar's 224.
I'll tell you, the way this match is shaping up, it's going to be the man that can hit the left-hand lane, and Mark Roth has to finish on the left-hand lane. I don't know if he's made a good choice this year letting Marshall Holman finish on the right.
So that's a big three-bagger for Holman to finish second in the overall competition and putting the pressure on Roth, the tournament leader now, who has a spare working shooting in frame 7.
Mark Roth trailing by 20, coming up in the 8th frame, has to put some pressure on Marshall Holman. Winner gets $15,000. The loser takes a pay cut, only $8,000. $7,000 difference rolling on these last 3 frames.
Fans' reaction tells you the story as the 210.
Mark Roth, that's what he said in the interview. He might struggle on the left-hand lane. He's really opened the door for Marshall Holman. Now coming in very light, ball breaking sharply, but not enough, leaving the 210. He has to go for it. Here's the great touch of Mark Roth. With all that power, he still has control. Just nicking the 2-pin, driving it to the side port, into the 10. Let's see how Marshall Holman reacts. The crowd once again reacting to the replay. Marshall Holman, 24 years old, but experienced player. He wants to know exactly what the score is, what the situation. 8th frame, Marshall Holman leading by 20, can extend to 30.
Like backing off from a putt in golf. And Holman continues his string at 4 now, taking a 30-pin lead here in the final match.
And he truly has Mark Roth's back to the wall. The best Roth can bowl is 2:08. Marshall Holman right now is going at a 2:18 pace. He can close the door with a strike here. Look at this.
10 dropping at the last moment.
It's not over yet. Marshall Holman going high on this lane, gets a great break, breaking down the 310 and leaving only the single 3-pin. Cross lane. As we go into the 9th and 10th frame, Chris, the situation is this. Roth must strike in the 9th, 10th, and 11th. If he does not strike on any of the next 3 balls, then the winner is Marshall Holman.
4-7 on the right lane.
And in Mark Roth's own words, good night. The best Roth can shoot is 196 with a spare and 3 strikes in the 10th. Marshall Holman is at least 200 if he stays behind the foul line.
Well, for all of you professionals, it's certainly been an interesting week here at one of the attractive bowling houses as we look at the score sheet of our championship match.
Well, nobody would figure that it would be that separated, but the tournament leader has had trouble this year, Chris. No one has won from the #1 position yet. 4 weeks, 4 losers.
Mark Roth, who today was hoping for his 17th title, for Marshall Holman, his 8th.
Mark just going through the motions. With this Sparrow finish with 196, Marshall Holman cannot lose. He's already has 186. Marshall Holman, the worst he can do is 187. A big smile. But we might be looking at a trend, Chris. The tournament leader 4 weeks in a row has been defeated. We'll have to see next week.
So, they have owned this event the last 2 years, these two young professionals, Holman at 24, Roth at 27. And it's been an interesting event with a woman owner, Jeannie Halsey Cooper, and we have one of our favorite ladies producing our telecast today, Eleanor Rieger. So you ladies certainly can do it. So for Marshall Holman, he has bowled a 217, he will. And for Mark Roth, a disappointing 186 here at the Forum in Grand Prairie, Texas. And smiling to the crowd, he's $15,000 richer. So, we'll be back for the presentation. First, we're going to take a break. A standing ovation now for both bowlers here at the Quaker State Open.